Episode 11, D4G.
Diving it. Diving it. Diving it. Diving it.
What do you think it's called? Diving
it. Diving it. Glory. Diving it. Diving it. Glory. Diving it. Glory.
Yeah, what it do? D4G true. Yeah, welcome back. Episode 11, season 2. I am your host. Tad bit older Pep Guardiola. I got 5 on it. Like Barcelona. Ooh, Sir Solomon, what up?
Chillin', man.
Yeah. This week we'll be chasing the Classico with Le Classique, revisiting it an old North London pal and Arsenal, and looking at the big 3 points for the Gatusso Mafia. Also, Big 5 league reviews, a little Pochettino talk, and a Fiorentina club profile, and as always, our prestigious and egregious D4G award section. Diving for Glory continues this enhancement, so please tune in as we'll be posting every Monday on iTunes, YouTube, and divingforglory.com. Also hitting you with Thursday episodes following the Champions League games. You can also find us on Twitter at Diving for Glory and Facebook as well. Follow, hashtag, subscribe, like, retweet, do all that. And if you listen and like us, please hit us up, man. iTunes, rate us. 5 globs, dust, matter, energy, and gravity. That would be stars, people. All right. Just a cup, jersey tuck, boots lace, diving for glory. Let's go. Yeah. Ooh, it's a good week when you got the Classico with no Messi and no Ronaldo for the first time in 11 years. 2007, I believe, when Carlos Puyol and Sergio Ramos started those games in right back positions. Fascinating. Murder. It's murder. How you feel about it, Sir Solomon?
It was a game full of irony from one position in particular. At left back, Barcelona played Jordi Alba. At right back, Real Madrid played Nacho. Nacho is the guy that Luis Enrique for the Spanish national team has decided to replace Jordi Alba with because he does not like Jordi Alba on a personal level from their time at Barcelona, and when he left, Jordi Alba was happy, blah, blah, blah. This game was basically Jordi Alba showing up 2 managers at the same damn time. Julian, whatever the fuck his name is, does not know what the fuck he's doing at Madrid. And Luis Enrique not playing him at the same time. He disproved everything in front of the world, and Madrid just looked confused.
This is Nacho left back, sir. Dude, he was getting worked. He was getting worked from the get-go. I mean, they got anything they wanted down that left side.
Early in the game, Sergio Busquets, Arthur, everybody kind of just kept looking right when he was making those runs, and I was getting annoyed because there was a lot of space behind Nacho. They treated Nacho like he could actually run. But that's how the first goal happened, was Jordi Alba down to the left, just burnt him.
And the ease of the first goal was unacceptable, really, for a team like Madrid. When you looked at, I mean, you had 3 players in the box. Nobody picked up the cutback. Everybody's watching the ball because Nacho got burnt in the dust. And, I mean, I don't think I've seen a goal that simple for Coutinho in a game as with the magnitude of the Classico.
Yeah, it's looked like the unrest around the coaching position that has really taken over all the press and everything in Madrid lately has affected the squad too, because they looked like they were defeated. Marcelo scored a goal to kind of bring them back after it went down to 2-0, but they were never really in it. There was a 5-minute stretch when they were, but outside of that, like... Barcelona without Messi completely dominated them. Like, it was a game that they were never in, and which is weird because, like, even Sevilla, the game Messi got injured and went off when Dembele took too long to come on, etc. They gave him a game. They pulled a goal back, and it was 2-1, and it ended 2-1. You know, this was just embarrassing.
I felt like there was about 5 or 10 minutes where it was a game, and it wasn't obviously in that second half after Marcelo pulled the goal back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they hit the woodwork once. I mean, they did, but it was only that brief little moment.
And then the substitutions that Valverde made just put it to sleep. He took some gambles, and it has to be said, you know, bringing in Dembele and Semedo, moving up to Sergio Roberto, and he made it a more offensive team that was a little more exposed defensively. But within minutes of coming on, Dembele starts the fast break, passes it to Sergio Roberto, who hooks it up to Suarez, just 3-1.
So one of the things I have is, speaking of substitutes, let's talk about Bale being substituted off in the 70-something minute. Like, Ronaldo's gone, and here you have the guy, and he's fucking healthy, and you take him off. I mean,
Jordi Alba put that whole side in his pocket. Like, Bale should be embarrassed of himself. Like, he did nothing in that game. When he got subbed out, I was like, oh, shit. Oh, observation I made. I don't know if I texted this to you. When Bale does dumb shit on a soccer field, he looks like Andy Carroll. Yesterday, they were playing with Andy Carroll. They were not playing with Gareth Bale. Because that guy, Jordi Alba, put him in his fucking pocket, dude.
Yeah,
he was done up.
I felt like there was definitely Modric was a ghost in this game to me. Like, as far as like service was concerned, there wasn't much. I didn't feel like Bale had a lot of opportunity, but I don't feel like you take him off. I just don't. Asensio is not on that level.
I don't think you necessarily take him off. I don't think it was a big wrong to take him off, but the issue is, in this newspaper, this reporter wrote, Messi might not play for El Clasico, and Barca is terrified. Real Madrid lost Ronaldo, and they don't think there's going to be any problem. Like, you know, like, Barca fans, every fucking game Messi's not playing, it's recognized how big, like, they won, but it's still like, all right, this is a good, like, to hold the place while he's gone. They got rid of one of the best players ever to play the ball, the game. A person that gives you at least a goal a game, and just decided, like, to whistle. Like,
yeah, agree. And I was always surprised by the rhetoric. And I mean, I get it. Like, these guys have egos. The rhetoric coming from the Madrid players that, oh, we don't miss Ronaldo. No, you miss Ronaldo because
I think that the winning made them believe that, like, and I was reading certain articles from Spain, and they're saying even Toni Kroos, like last season, even though they were like 15 points behind Barca at the time, Champions League semi-final, before the game interview, he goes, yeah, when we hear the Champions League music play, we just turn on, kind of shit, you know? And like, everybody thought that they, like, you won, and it was spectacular, but the disease of normalcy, when you think that the same thing is going to just happen over and over, and like, if you're successful, you're going to remain successful. That's the problem, and they didn't address it, and everybody's ego got in the way. And like Patrelli says, the disease of me. When you win, everybody thinks you won because of them, and they got
player of the year, Luka Modric.
Yeah, player of the year who's not best player on his team, Luka Modric. Like, which we can get into whenever you want, but like, I believe that to be player of the year, you have to at least be player of your team.
So a couple things I want to ask, like, to try to level the conversation in regards to the Madrid coach, that guy. A few things. I always remember one of the two rules I remember from the 48 Laws of Power is you don't follow up legends. And this is not to say Zidane is a legend, but he basically, that's for another debate.
What are you talking about?
Absolute, dude, 3 in a row. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not weighing in on that. Okay. I'm just saying if your opinion,
nobody has ever done it ever.
Your opinion is that he is a legend. Either way, it's damn hard to follow that up.
Okay.
So
I can't believe that is even debatable. Like, I don't know how you're presenting this, but okay. All right, go ahead.
I haven't debated it. So, yeah, but with all that being said, You know what I'm saying? So, number one, you're coming in on this, and then it's hard enough to repeat in a league due to motivational issues, due to anything else. You sell your number one player, you bring in a guy who is going to replace the goalie that just won you these three things. Like, is there some room for some sympathy for this Julian guy in regards to these circumstances that he's walked into?
Firstly, I don't think that getting in another goalkeeper is a bad thing. Every Vacan manager would like to have more choice. So if he wants to play the other guy, play the fucking other guy. But like, I think that Thibaut Courtois is actually the better goalkeeper, and long term, like, they made the right call. But as far as sympathy, first off, this coach conducted himself in a very classless manner in getting this job. He had signed a contract with the Spanish national team that expires in 2020, just a few months before. And as soon as he got the offer, which, by the way, he was not their first choice. He was, I think, their third choice, and Wolves' current general manager.
Carvalho.
No. The owner or whatever, Mendes, the agent.
Mm-hmm.
He suggested Lopetegui, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah. And
the guy immediately agreed, at which point, we know the rest is Spain. The federation get pissed off, they fire him. But he knew what he was getting into, and he jumped the gun, got himself in some shit that he shouldn't have. This is the guy who, at the beginning of the summer, was looking at maybe having one of the strongest teams in the World Cup and with a chance at winning it. And now he might not be hireable in a big job ever again.
So obviously he has fucked himself. My other question is then, even if they had chosen the right coach or whatever, like, what could realistically be the expectations for Real Madrid this year?
I think that this current team, the way from what I read and kind of see, is that they were saying this guy's job handed to him is to actually phase out a lot of the 30 and over stars and try to bring in guys that they had brought, young Spanish players. So like Marco Asensio and Isco and them would be the centerpieces, and build around them with who's that guy, Dani Ceballos and all these that they got. And that's one of the reasons they've been moving Toni Kroos around and playing him in Casemiro's position, is because they want to play some of these guys. And within the locker room, the players notice this. And when you try to get rid of, like when it's a big game, and Luka Modric just gets rotated for no reason, you know what I'm saying? Or Toni Kroos gets moved into Casemiro's position and Casemiro gets benched for no reason. Like, these are players that are more qualified than the manager in the position that they're in. And if they lose respect for him, it's a game of inches. It's a game of like seconds. So if these guys aren't running 100%, then it's going to look like this. And I think this is what happens when you just try to put a Band-Aid on a major situation. Why did Zidane leave is a question that nobody asked. And in his last press conference, he said, if I don't feel at the beginning of the season that I'm going to be able to win, I don't see the point. And that's why he left.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so, tough situation that this guy forced his way into. Yeah, sucks to be you, bruh. With all that being said, Barcelona alone at the top of La Liga right now by 2 points. They are 7 points clear of Real Madrid. Again, as we've mentioned, it just looks like such a much more fluid and fun, entertaining Barcelona team as compared to last year. They're doing the old 4-3-3 lineup.
Yes, it's looking fun, but the funny thing about this whole thing in regards to Mr. Julian is that Barca, and until before this game, this was one of their slowest starts points-wise. It was the slowest start they've had in the last 13 years. Mm-hmm. And yet, they walked into the game 4 points ahead of Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. And then, in the front of the world, they embarrassed them. Like, you never think that playing Real Madrid is going to be the tonic that your team needs to play better. But that's the thing. I usually think that Florentino Perez is a man that takes too short and has a short fuse, and he's an egotist. But now's the time to have a short fuse. This guy needs to get shit canned.
Part of me says, of course. The other part is that I mean, they're just going to go on a fucking buying spree this summer.
Understood, but what I'm saying is your number one job as a manager is to motivate the players. The game plan, everything else is after that. Like, and if they don't believe in you, I don't give a fuck what your project is. You know, like maybe someone else you get heard, but if you're not getting heard, then you gotta go. And they obviously are not playing Julian. Like the funny thing is, he started in at the beginning of the season playing a passing style. If you remember, I was mentioning like number of passes in the game and stuff.
Yep.
And that was what they were trying to transition to. This is a style that's actually looked very skeptically in Madrid, because Madrid has always been a very direct team, and Barca is the team that likes to do the tiki-taka and all that, right? Yep. But because to play that style, he'd have to move some of his guys out of position. The locker room, there was some problems, you know? So he switched back to their old 4-3-3. Except now they don't have Ronaldo, and they're just like, okay, like nothing to watch here, just go. Now be good again. And just like, no, like if that was what you were trying to do, you should have stuck to it and made the change longer term, even if you struggled. Now they're struggling because he's not even trying to implement the style of football that he wanted to do at the beginning of the season. He switched it to accommodate, and it's not working. So if you're going to get fired, why not get fired doing your shit?
Agreed. Man of the match.
El Pistolero.
Absolutely. I had a
man of the world yesterday.
Yeah, he was on it. He was so motivated.
Oh, yeah.
So
I have
motivated.
never seen somebody running so hard after getting a hat-trick as I have seen Luis Suarez. You know, that and Arturo Vidal's last goal. I've never seen two people so happy in a fucking...
Yeah, Roberto with 2 lovely assists.
And Dembele with what?
Dembele, yeah, for sure. Showing up late to practice in Classico week. Come on, son.
Speaking of late to practice, we'll talk about that in the next game.
Yeah, let's move along from the Classico to Le Classique, also known as merguez.
Also known as what?
Merguez sausage, man. The Classique.
I don't have an advanced palate.
Look, part of me says this can't even be called the Le Classique. And Marseille hosting PSG. PSG have not lost this tie in 17 matches.
Hey, there was a stretch when the NFC won 13 straight Super Bowls. Does that make it less of a Super Bowl? It is what it is. If you win, you lose. That's the one where the fans get the most hype for. Whether, you know what I'm saying? And the more the dominance of PSG's new money over old money Marseille, the rivalry, which is funny as an outsider where you just look at it, it looks lessened. But the fact that they're dominating them, the fan rivalry is actually worse and worse year after year. Like if you look at the reception they got yesterday, for example. Like, that place was lit.
It was lit.
Like, they didn't say, like, oh, ho-hum, like, they beat us 11 straight times. Like they hate them even more now than they did before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I kind of saw most of this game. It was kind of boring.
Not when 2 of the guys that were supposed to be participating in it showed up late, so the coach had to bench them.
Is that how Mbappe ended up on the bench?
And what's his face? Rabiot.
Oh, Rabiot.
I mean,
no, I'm with you. And Mbappe, of course, still gets on the field, 63rd minute in a scoreless game.
My biggest question in this whole thing, and I get Edison Cavani is injured, but how is Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting in PSG? Like,
yeah, I kept saying, who is that guy? That's the guy from Stoke?
yes!
Stoke. Relegated.
Relegated
Stoke,
not
right?
And not like Shaqiri Stoke, and not like, Arnautovic Stoke.
So,
like, he was like the bad Stoke.
But this is the issue here with the PSG project is that, all their money went to 2 players. And it just doesn't. I keep thinking in my head that I feel like you sell Neymar, you take that money and build yourself a real fucking squad around the dude that's 19 fucking years old and is French. Like, that seems to be obvious to me.
When you say it, like put like that, it's obvious. But then the building around him part is a difficult thing. if you found it hard to build around Neymar and him, what makes it easier when Neymar leaves and it's just him? Like, if your team building system is broken, then does it matter who you make the centerpiece of it?
I mean, it does to me, because you just gotta have they have positions that are like, you have these world beaters at a couple positions, and then you have a guy who we just said came from a relegated English team as your backup. Like the drop off in depth, and your aging defense, and your need for a midfield creator, and things of these nature. Like, I just feel like you could address some of these things if you're willing to spend. If you're willing to splash the cash, splash the cash on the right players.
Like, they do have good players. I think that the environment and the situation with the ownership and everything leads to a certain lack of professionalism, and they're like falling off while they're there. Julian Draxler is a big player. Marco Verratti is a big player. Like, these guys are not jokes, you know. It's not like Neymar and Mbappe and a bunch of fucking idiots. But the thing is, the culture that you have on your team, like, has to be something that the players grow from, you know? And it's like, yeah, a lot of these guys could really walk into teams and show, like, even down to Marquinhos and who's that guy? Kimpembe. Like, they could be really good defenders in any team you take them to, you know? But if they're, they could, like, Marquinhos could play in any of the, like, outside of even Manchester City, actually.
Agreed.
He could play in any fucking Big Four team in England, you know? And yet, because he's so exposed and there's no plan around him, he looks like shit whenever they play a big opponent. So, I don't know if selling Neymar, it'll be fine, but I don't know if they grow out of it.
Word up. With all that being said, again, the golf here is just too wide for Marseille. Even at half speed, PSG win comfortably 2-0 here. Not an awful game by Marseille, though.
It was not an awful game. They held them for a very, very long time, and until Mbappe came on in the 62nd minute, and then within 3 minutes he had scored. Right. But they have a lot of players playing out of position for Thomas Tuchel. If that's what you're gonna try to do, get lesser players, because these guys don't do that. Like, they just don't. Get the fuck out of here. Like, Chelsea played, like, they've tried this before with different coaches. They're just shut down, dude. Like, these are not some rinky-dink dudes. Julian Draxler knows exactly where Julian Draxler's best 2 or 3 positions are. And then if you put him as a deep-lying midfielder, he's gonna look like just Neymar and him just playing with a bunch of bombs. Marco Verratti, Marco Verratti at PSG is looking very much like Paul Pogba at fucking Manchester United. He's lost in the midfield. Like, what is his instructions? What is he trying to do? You know? And that's... The coaches that they hire are not given free reign. So then the players do not respect them. There is no execution of game plans. You're just throwing, basically, you play Marseille and you can throw money at Marseille and beat them. But when you're playing Juventus, when you're playing Atletico, you can't throw money at them.
They were probably, in my estimation, more equipped from a management standpoint, or at least a continuity standpoint, with the LeBlanc era. I mean, he was there for 4 years. They had a core team that they kept together, and having Ibrahimovic on your team, as long as, like, he's a locker room dude that kind of keeps motherfuckers in line. And I mean, that at that point, like, they looked like a team on the verge of the next step. Like, they gave Barca good games. Verratti stood out a couple of those games.
That's what I mean. Now we're talking about it like he's not even a guy, and I'm like, these people have failed him.
It's like the Jailblazers, man. When,
yes.
The inmates are running the prison.
Yes, but. Like, I agree with you fully on as a team, they were a much more difficult team to be reckoned with in the Ibra era. And attitude reflects leadership, and the leader of your team being a guy that takes days off to go, like, first off, since his Barca days, every time it's his sister's birthday, he takes time off. Like misses games and stuff.
Yep.
And like that kind of stuff, being your main guy when you're part of a new money project is dangerous. Like, when it was Chelsea with Abramovich, when they came up, it was John Terry and a bunch of working class guys that were the leaders and guys that were on the cusp of being good that became famous because of playing for Chelsea, right? Like here, by buying the ready-made guys already that are superstars, and then you bring in a coach, and I told you this before the season started, that doesn't believe in superstars. Like this was like he just plays the game. Okay, I'm gonna play this team. You're gonna play in this position. You need young unknowns to do that shit, man. Fuck out of here with that.
With all that being said, as we've mentioned ad nauseum here on Diving for Glory, PSG have basically wrapped up this league. 8 points clear, 33 goal difference. Marseille in fifth place, but only 3 points back at the Champions League spot.
I think this might be the second game that PSG has scored less than 3 goals.
That's it all year
in the league, and I think in the Champions League they scored 2 against Liverpool, and what was it against Napoli? 1 or 0? 2. Yeah. So, but yeah, they've been on point, and as much as we talk about Mr. Neymar, like he does create a lot of chances off the dribble and the fucking thing, and he had a
couple sick moves in this game. Man of the match.
Man of the match, I would have to give it to Mr. Kylian Mbappe, who came in and killed the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just thought the other day how raw that name is, though. Kylian. It's so dope to me. Kylian killing shit.
I never thought about that, but sure.
Yeah. Ace, let's move along. Next game. Hits you off with Serie A. I know we covered them last week in the Milan derby. But AC playing probably a direct rival for one of the European spots, Sampdoria. And the Mafia, the Gattuso Mafia, come away with a huge 3 points here.
The Gattuso Mafia, as you call them, I don't know if they exist, but they saved his job. Rino Gattuso is very, very close to being fired. Ivan Gazidis has taken over CEO duties. He is from Arsenal, and he's actually, rumors are, he's pushing hard for Mr. Arsene Wenger to take the spot. But even if he doesn't, there are other openings, and if Gattuso does not turn around this project, and that Europa game that they just played was an embarrassment, so if he hadn't got a result out of this game, he would probably get fired. And it was funny because they took the lead, saved his job, got tied, got behind, he was fired.
Yeah.
Tied it again and then pulled it off. By the way, Mr. Higuain is a centerpiece of that offense. Like in terms of like even when he doesn't score, it goes off him. He plays the 1-2s. That I would say that they won that trade. Like getting a 22-year-old Bonucci the other direction, and at the same time when they got a 24-year-old defender out of it too.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Romagnoli.
Second goal by Sampdoria was fucking awesome, man. What's that guy named? Quagliarella. Yeah. But wonderful passes by, what's the other guy named? Supernatra or some shit like that. You tell me. But beautiful goal, and they go up 2-1, and Higuain pulls them even before halftime. Saponara,
like you fucked it up so much, I was like, who the fuck is he talking about? Ricardo Saponara plays in the hole behind the 2 defenders.
I wrote that down. I just mistakenly thought that I misspelled Sampdoria.
Dude, why are you using a 6 font? You're gonna be blind by the time this show is done.
You said a 6 font. Yeah, Sampdoria, dude, beautiful with the goal. He had the goal and the assist.
Yeah, he was doing his thing. He plays in the hole behind Gregoire Defrel and Fabio Quagliarella, and I like how they're set up. They have the 4-3-1-2, and the guy Saponara just like runs things, links it up. Very organized team. Not in this fucking game because they shipped 3 goals, but it was a fun game. I would say this was the most fun game of the weekend.
With all that being said, we go to the second half, and Suso, who had the assist earlier to Cutrone for the opener, has a wonder goal here outside the box.
Yes.
I was watching this game when that happened, actually.
Yeah, he put it to bed because Patrick Cotroni and Gonzalo Higuain had scored either side of Quagalera and Saponara scoring, and it was looking very much actually like it was going to be a 2-2 game, and I would have said that both teams would have deserved a 2-2 actually.
Yep.
And my man Suso did up.
So this leaves AC and Sampdoria even on points in 6th and 7th place respectively. Sampdoria up on goal difference, I think it is, in Serie A. Man of the match.
Gonzalo Higuain.
Okay.
His movement opens up Patrick Cotroni a lot. If you look at him, he's always, even in the plays that he's not assisting him, the guy runs off of Higuain, and he's playing the number 9 role beautifully.
Okay. I had Suso, the assist in the goal.
Also, he's doing his thing. Yeah, I'm beginning to turn towards Suso and appreciate him a little more. But I think he's wildly overrated because the team is in such chaos that everything he did, it got fucking exaggerated. He doesn't do it as him and Hakan Çalhanoğlu. I don't think they do enough, but I think that if and when Rino Gatusso gets fired and they get an actual manager, they might both be good.
Absolutely, man. Suso is 24 years old, out of Spain. He's Spain, and the lefty. Nice.
I think he had a spell in Liverpool.
Let's see. Because all information, yes, that is his history, man.
That is his history.
He's a youth player. He's a Liverpool youth player.
Yep.
2010, went on loan to Almeria, never played for Liverpool, Almeria, and then sold to Milan for 1.6 million.
Good
business.
As Ronaldo calls it, a slice of pizza.
Yeah. All right, moving along to another derby. Another North London derby that doesn't get as much.
Is Crystal Palace North London?
Are they? London derby.
Yeah, it's a
I just
London derby.
call all of them North London, if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah, it's only talking about Arsenal.
No, Palace hosting Arsenal. This ended up 2-2. Palace might feel a bit hard done.
Aggrieved, bamboozled, run amok.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Pass that Chris Paul would be proud of. That was beautiful. Just a one touch. Put some English on it, French boy.
He threw his baguette in the air and.
But let's start from the
around.
beginning. In the beginning.
Palace went at these boys, man.
Dude, Crystal Palace at home
Yep.
is a tough proposition. And then there's Crystal Palace at home when you're giving them 2 penalty kicks in a game. Is terrible. Steiner spent the whole day fucking hacking Wilfred Zaha.
Mm-hmm.
And can you please stop calling him Willie? Please.
Who the
commentator.
announcers? Oh my God.
Willie Zaha. And then at some point the guy said Wilf. I was like, dude, just say Zaha.
Whip.
Please.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get sent off. He spent most of the day hacking at him.
This is quintessential Arsenal, though. This is harkens back to the Arsene days when, Ozil turns in this performance and everybody's like, he's gonna, if he does this but he's not. But he's not gonna do this every week. And that's obvious because he showed up this game and didn't do it this week. With dominating possession, Arsenal 58%, only 7 shots.
That dominating though.
I'm just going by the media, man. I'm just talking about the reference here. Oh, you're talking about them? You're talking about
58% possession
all right.
is just like you had a slightly better possession, not a dominating possession.
Semantics. 53 to 47 is barely 16% difference.
Okay.
Relative. It's relative.
I guess.
Anyway, very small point. Point is, with 58% of the possession, you only get 7 shots. Two of them on target. Palace a lot more active, even though they weren't that clinical. Only 3 on target, but 16. Is this old Arsenal here?
I don't think so. I think that it's a disrespect kind of to Crystal Palace to just dismiss them and talk about how Arsenal did. Playing against Crystal Palace at Crystal Palace is a very, very difficult proposition. And when Wilfred Zaha and Andros Townsend are both healthy, Like, this is one of the tough, especially if you're a London team, you know, like this is one of the tough away games to play. They played it, they got outplayed, and they got a point out of it. Like, that's how I see it. I don't think that is same old as much as, like, this is a game that Arsenal should have lost.
Yeah, no, should have lost.
That's
Absolutely
what I'm saying. So they got a point out of a very bad performance, and they've been due for a bad performance. They've got a lot of, like, victories that they had the streak going, and they've been due for it. And it was a game that is not a surprising location for it to happen, I don't think. And they just keep moving. I don't think that it's a major problem. You know, you just lost the game. I mean, you just tied the game.
Yeah, I think it's I think hard done for them because you got Liverpool next week. you're probably going to take that L.
I don't know.
We'll see.
That's why you have these expectations, and every time they lose, you're like, oh, wow, same old Arsenal, is because you just, like, you can't come into the games expecting the result. Like, yeah, you're probably going to lose, or you're probably going to win this one. Like, that's the tough thing about the Premier League, you know? And Arsenal against Liverpool is a big game. I don't know if they'll win. Like, Liverpool will win that game, yes. They have not looked that spectacular to me this season. Last year, I would have taken Liverpool easy. But so far, Arsenal is scoring a lot of games. Like, don't be a prisoner of the moment. How many games?
Five on it? You got 5 on it?
Sure. But I'm not saying Arsenal wins. I'm saying Liverpool does not win.
Okay.
So I'm taking
even a
2
draw.
points.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
I can see a draw happen in this game very much.
Okay. No doubt. We got 5 on it, people.
Not on that. On the game.
Arsenal sit in 4th place at the moment. Tottenham have that game in hand on the NFL pitch that they'll be playing on later against champions Manchester City. Palace in 14th, 3 points out of relegation.
Whose advantage is that field?
I mean, the outsider would say, even Pochettino would say, that it could help Tottenham because they're just not going to be able to move the ball around as nice as
Fuck
they
out of
would
here,
like to.
fanboy. It's the same, man. You play on the same field.
Nah, it's not the same.
Okay.
It's the same thing when they water down the pitches or whatever when they play against Barcelona. You want to stop this team from moving the ball the way that
No,
they
I understood.
normally
But
would.
what I'm saying is, like, Tottenham is also a timing team. Like, yeah, they're not as good as Manchester City, but like their offense is very much a timing offense too, the counter, and like they get affected just as much, is what I'm saying. And having less good players, I would think that playing on the bad field, if it affects you, you have less guys to fix the problem.
Why would the coach come out and say such a thing?
Because it's the big game and that's what you want to say. You play it down and you make it seem like they're favorites. Haven't you noticed that's how Premier League coaches give interviews?
Okay.
Or do they say, yeah, man, we got
Sometimes.
advantage on this. Nobody has ever claimed that playing on a bad field is better. Like,
Until Pochettino did this week. That's what he did. He said it could help them. Not to help City, it could help us. So that's in stark contrast to what you're saying.
okay.
But it happens. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they play on the same field. It's like when you're playing basketball. We both playing with a shitty ball. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Is it even a home game for them? Fuck all that. Let's move along.
Doesn't matter. It's the 11 against 11 and they just ball it.
Who's your man of the match for Palace Arsenal?
I'd have to say Wilfred Zaha. He was causing complete pandemonium on the wing, and I don't know how Lichtsteiner didn't get off the game.
I got Lacazette's baguette.
Yeah, fair enough.
Moving along.
Yeah. Big shout, Chaka.
What was this? What was this? It was really. What was this? What was this? It was really good, Jen.
It was really good. EPL review. Midfield, man. Start you off with Saturday. With a thrilling, stunning relegation battle between Southampton and Newcastle that ended 0-0.
Yep, that's all we're going to talk about it. Next.
Watford doing their fucking thing.
Sorry, we could not discuss Southampton Newcastle playing nothing.
What is there to even talk
Exactly.
about? The next match is Watford on Huddersfield. Watford with the 3-0.
Oh, sorry. There is one thing to talk about. There is a rumor that the Chinese club is going to give Rafa Benitez 11 million a year to go coach them. So the Newcastle situation might get worse.
Holla! I'd be out there too.
So they're gonna get relegated like shit if he's not there. Like that's a team that's there based on the quality of their manager.
Spending them yen.
Hey.
Word up. Watford sitting 7th in the table right now, 19 points. They're like halfway to safety with 28 games to play.
Watford has a history in the near past of starting the league really, really strong, which I like because then they run out of gas because they have very thin team. But they're doing their thing. Let's see if they can maintain it. But I think they're going to finish in the bottom half of the Premier League, but at the same time, not in a relegation battle at all.
Brighton hosting Wolves. And Brighton comes away with the 1-0 here.
Yeah.
Major points for them as well.
Major points for them. Them qualifying for Europe might be one of the biggest undoings of a team because they had to play qualifiers in the summer. And for this small squad, it affected them. They've been dropping a lot of points. But if you remember, as of... Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, you're on the wrong team. You're on B team.
Dude, you're supposed to say Hove.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. Hove got the victory. My favorite Jigga team.
The Wolves.
Yes, Wolves, yeah, you couldn't... That is about they should get that victory, but they've punched above their weight a while, so it was about to balance out at some point. You're going to drop some points, you know.
The best team, least impressing, Sir Solomon, Liverpool with a 4-1 over Cardiff.
What? I did not understand that sentence, but yeah, Liverpool won 4-1 over Cardiff.
Salah here with a couple goals, I believe.
Yes, one nice goal and I think a penalty, and Mane had a couple of goals.
Mane, yeah, I think he missed the penalty as well. Or was that in the midweek? I think that was midweek.
Okay.
Anyway, that's for 4 goals for the last 2 games, each of the last 2 games. So Liverpool possibly off their schneid here in regard to goal scoring. We shall
fucked up
see.
on the goal they gave up, but it's all good.
Yep. Fulham hosting Bournemouth, and they got burned.
They took it.
They got burned. Son.
Fulham is gonna at some point have to address the fact that you cannot play in the Premier League and not believe in defense. Like whether it's January signings or getting a coach that teaches them as like some sort of assistant, everybody's lighting them up, dude. Cardiff had 2 goals on them.
Yep.
Cardiff does not score, my friend.
Yeah, they're in 18th place. They have 7 losses. They've given up 28 goals.
Boom. There you go.
That's tough.
Yeah.
But Bournemouth though, 6th in the table.
Yeah. Another team that's
6-2
gonna
and 2.
fall off, but good start. I like when the smaller team starts good because that means you're gonna give yourself a gap later in the season.
Word them up. Very somber result here. Leicester hosting West Ham. The 1-1 draw. West Ham had a man sent off here, and Leicester lost an owner.
Yeah.
After the game.
Stunting fail.
Yeah, major.
It was like, yeah, people, I'm a stunt on y'all. Leave off my helicopter.
Yeah, fucked up.
I'm like, all right.
Especially for a team like Leicester to have like the little glory that they've had in the past. You know, this dude brought them out of that, and man, tough. R.I.P. my man.
Can't
say your
there's
name.
a
There's
reason.
way too many consonants.
Dude, what the fuck is the tobacco?
Too many.
Dude, I
consonants,
think that the pilot was probably just trying to read his name and just didn't see whatever the fuck he was doing. But
stay out the cockpit,
guys,
man.
there's a reason people are not taking helicopters to these things. Just don't.
Yeah. Ride the train with the plebes. Sunday.
Yeah, chauffeur, get driven there.
Man.
And limo styling.
Exactly. Sunday. Burnley something kid. Hosts Chelsea, and they've just been. This is the team that you were talking about with the Europa shit. They just been getting waxed.
They've been getting waxed since the season started. Their whole rewind a little bit and listen to my confusion from earlier and apply it to this. But also a bad time to play Chelsea. Bad time to play a team that has Big Russ on it. Big Russ Barkley has been balling the fuck out for Chelsea lately.
He even put Morata in a place to score.
Yes.
That was a wonderful fucking pass.
It was a very good pass, very, very good through pass. But Morata still had a little bit of work to do, and he put it away nicely.
Finish.
He should have had a hat-trick, but like lately he's been on a little streak of scoring over these past few games. So if that keeps going and he gets his confidence back, then this Chelsea team looks really nice. But they're a very top-heavy team. Like, they don't have anybody. If like for example, Pedro got injured again. Like, they don't have many.
They don't have the depth.
So Ross Barkley playing good is a very important part of this, because that allows them a few more options, you know.
Yep. Closet Chelsea fan, Sir Solomon. What do you think about the United-Everton game? 2-1 United.
Man, any non-Man City fucking references or compliments here get you really, you know, out your panties in a bunch. So it's okay. There are other teams in the Premier League, and when they play good and they win 4-0, we talk about those teams and we talk about them glowingly because they put on a good show. That's how the show goes.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the opposite of that. A team that hasn't been putting on a good show, and that is Manchester United. But they came away with all 3 points here.
Yes, and this is very important to Mr. Corciola, because outside of enjoying Man City's flowing football, his second favorite pastime is talking shit about Manchester City's current season. So he Manchester United's current season, he watches every minute of their games and complains about it the whole time.
Dude, I'm sitting there watching the Classico yesterday, and one of the fellas was, and at halftime we switched to the United game, and I started talking about the Juventus game. He looks at me and says, "What? I thought we played good in that game."
I'm telling you, like, when your team, but think about this. When your team is in the middle of one of the worst runs, and then you lose 2-0 to 1-0 to a team that doesn't drop anything to anybody this season, yeah, they're going to settle for that. That's what I was trying to explain to you the other day. I was like, dude, there's a lot of other shit that they're doing against, like, West Ham and shit that I would be more upset on before anything that happened in that Juventus game.
Yeah.
I would expect them to, like, get shit on proper, like Real Madrid just got from Barca when you play against Juventus. A 1-0 as a Manchester fan in the middle of a shit season? Yeah. He'll take that shit.
You're going to make me bring back Jake from Random Country to give his take on that game.
Oh, yeah. Wonder which accent you're going to bring.
Bring the Manchurian one, man. Bring the Manchurian one. In a couple hours, though, we'll be watching Tottenham host Manchester City at Wembley. I'm super excited. Can't wait.
Yes, it's going to be a big game. Mm-hmm. Which means that Tottenham are going to fight.
Which is crazy that they even consider that Tottenham, with a victory here, could pass City in the table. For a coach who recently came out and said that he was the most unhappy he's ever been at Tottenham.
And he said it's funny because they're having their best start to a season that they've ever had.
Yeah, they're 2 points off the top. They won't be unless they win today.
But have you been any more certain in any other season that they would not win it over the past 3 years than you are right now?
Yeah, and that's the frustration.
Yeah.
And we're going to touch on that a little bit later, but let's get to the rest of the world. Actually, the rest of Europe. Big Five. La Liga. Some interesting results going on. Start you off with Valladolid hosting Espanyol in a 1-1 draw.
Espanyol had a 1-0 going into injury time. That would, if they had held the result, move them into first place. And Valladolid, owned by Ronaldo Phenomenal, came on in the... Dude! Goal of the week candidate. Fucking free kick at the end of the game. That shit changed directions in the air a couple of times before it went in. Yes. So they pulled them back and they got the draw. Big up.
Yeah, Valladolid and Espanyol sit in the top 6 currently in La Liga. Atleti hosting Sociedad, and they needed something positive here, man. They got a 2-0,
which moved them into first place.
Yes, absolutely.
This was a week which, especially had Barcelona lost, it could have been in one weekend 4 or 5 teams in first place.
Mm-hmm. Again, as mentioned last week, how tight La Liga is so far this year. I like it, and I hope it stays that way. I prefer competitive games or competitive leagues.
Yes, Guardiola likes it tight.
Getafe hosting Betis. Betis taking the L again.
Yeah, we're going to stop talking about Betis until they're going to turn their shit around, unless they play somebody worthwhile. Because if you're just fucking taking L's left and right,
yeah, and they've been taking them.
You're diving for embarrassment. We have no time for you.
Getafe sitting 8th in the table above Real Madrid.
Although Betis beat AC Milan in the Europa.
In the Europa, they did.
So maybe they're still hungover from that. We give you a pass 1 week.
Or something like that. Alaves.
They won, I believe.
Yeah, the Betis won. AC won.
Yeah.
No, Betis won.
No, I said 3-1 Betis win.
3-1, okay.
I think.
Oh, okay. I thought you said they won. Alaves hosting Villarreal, and they take a 2-1 victory, which puts them into second place here. This is also a 94th minute winner.
I would like to correct myself. AC Milan lost 2-1 to Betis. And Alaves over Villarreal. Villarreal has been having an iffy season, but I have lost all respect for them since they sold their striker in the middle of last season quietly after the transfer window was closed to Chinese team just to make money and said fuck football. So this is what the kind of shit that happens to you when you play a fucking team that's actually got little ambition, even though they're a smaller team than you. They fuck you up, you know.
Alaves, I'm sitting here. They have 2 players over the age of 30. They're super young. They don't have any player rated above $7 million. I mean, if they qualify for Europe at all, or $11 million, their goalkeeper.
I don't think they have the...
Europe? Can they compete for Europe? No?
I don't think so. I think that if they don't get relegated and they finish close to the top half of the league, they'll be happy. I think this team is going to probably, after January, free fall. That's why it's important that they compile as many points as they can, and getting victories in certain games in Spain is more important because they're tiebreakers. Mm-hmm. So if they keep beating shit teams, they'll be good.
Yeah, 20 points in 10 games. Yeah, halfway there, man.
Now they have 28 games to get another 20. Do your thing.
No doubt. Last game, Sevilla hosting Huesca, and Sevilla take the 2-1. Keep pace, third in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they just had a little stumble against Barca, but they're back on track, and I think that Sevilla is going to be around for the most of the season. Or if Arsenal buys Ever Banega in the January transfer window, that might cause them to stumble a little bit.
Well, I wonder where all those players that Mourinho said he would have signed for his team. Why didn't he sign any of them?
Oh, he had suggestions. They just didn't like his suggestions. Like, give me the 29-year-old Harry Maguire. I saw the World Cup, and they're like, dude, that's not scouting. That's watching the game.
All right, moving along. Serie A, a couple games mentioned here. Definitely mentioned the Empoli hosting Juventus. Ronaldo brace here, and they rock it for the game winner.
Yeah, the game winner is beautiful. Empoli should not have been in this game, but as a home team, they got one, and they made it uncomfortable, but it was always Juventus' game to be had.
Napoli-Roma, which we chose not to cover, 1-1.
Only because we've talked about Napoli and Roma a fuckload this season.
Yep.
And Dries Mertens, I think, with the injury time tie goal.
Yep. 90th minute.
Yeah.
Yep. That hurts for Napoli. Roma got to be happy with a point away to Napoli.
Away, yeah. And any point to Napoli at this point, they're a force to be reckoned with. But Roma got lucky because they played Napoli after a big European performance, and
Roma sit 8th place, only 3 points out of the top 4 though. Actually, Inter and Lazio play later today, and they both have a game in hand, so that will probably grow. But they're still in the mix. Again, outside of Juventus, it looks like a nice, tight, compact, competitive league. Moving along, Bundesliga. I wanted to mention the Freiburg over Mönchengladbach because Freiburg is bottom of the table and Mönchengladbach sat second when the game started.
They were supposed to actually kind of just handle this and start off by putting a lot of pressure on Borussia Dortmund, because Bayern Munich looks like they've actually turned a bit of a corner. I don't know if it's a corner as much as a little curve, but so they should have just gone and handled their business, and they got handled. Freiburg ran all over their ass.
3-1. Mainz, which is, correct me if I'm wrong. Mainz, that's Klopp's old team.
Klopp's old team, Tuchel's old team.
Yep. Hosting Bayern, and they lost 2-1 to Bayern München.
Yes, but Bayern doesn't seem to have an offensive identity. They've always been a possession team, but like with Robben and Ribéry providing like the cutting edge on the wings. Like now it seems like a very stodgy team, and then the defense just looks like they always have one fuck up in them.
Even though they're an international team, I mean, is this is part of this? Is this a microcosm basically of the German national team? Just stale ideas, just an aging generation.
Partially, and then when you toss in the arrogance of success too, because this is a very old team, like, and they need some fresh blood, and they decided that the fresh blood was going to come in the form of Niko Kovac. If you're trying to make the kind of upheavals that Bayern Munich, Real Madrid are doing, you better bring a big fucking name. Some guy that's respected enough by the players that puts fear in the back of their head and makes them work hard. If they know that you're trying some Mickey Mouse shit and you're going to be fired in a month, It's not going to work, dude.
Side note, James on the bench for this game, not played at all. Dortmund hosting Hertha Berlin, and they get the 2-2 draw. Jadon Sancho brace.
Cancelled out by a Solomon Kalou brace. Mm-hmm.
Tough here for Dortmund.
The future against the past.
Mm-hmm. Tough here for Dortmund. 19 shots, 5 on target here, 57% possession.
Hertha this year has been good.
Hertha is good.
They've been having a good season, and
they were good last year too, I think.
Yeah, but Dortmund, the one thing that's still holding them back from being that team is their defense, you know, and it's going to be exposed. The style that Lucien Favre wants them to play is going to expose them, and sometimes you're just going to get got.
With all that being said, for all this doom and gloom regarding Bayern, they're in second place, 2 points behind Bayern Munich or behind Borussia Dortmund. Tough out there, man. It's a long season, fellas. Keep it up.
It's actually the shortest season out of the leagues we were talking about.
It is. It is the shortest. They still got a lot of games to play.
Yeah.
Hoffenheim, just wanted to mention, because they've been an up and down team.
They dropped 4
on Stuttgart.
Who's been a down and down team.
Yeah, pretty fucking
They're
much.
terrible. Like, they need to get relegated in January.
Belfodil with the brace here. Word. RB playing Schalke, and they battle to a 0-0 draw. Which amazingly gets Schalke out of the fucking relegation zone. RB sits 6th still, and last mention is Leverkusen whooping the fuck out of Werder Bremen. Werder 6-2 victory there.
Which was funny because they were 3-0 ahead, and Werder had actually brought it to 3-2, and it looked like Leverkusen might be shitting the bed a little bit, and then not so much.
Yeah.
They said 9!
9 mines.
I was like, okay, we'll settle for 6.
9 mines. Moving along, Ligue 1. Angers hosting Lyon, and they take a 2-1 loss.
Yes, more notable outside of the 2-1 loss in this game is that the man, Mr. Memphis Depay, was extremely unhappy after the game and said, at my age, I'm 24, I need to grow, and you only do that by playing, and I'm not getting the respect I deserve by being benched, which, although he sounds like an idiot, is accurate. Like, Nabil Fekir doesn't play, he doesn't play, like, there seems to be a lot of times where they just rotate the team for no reason and put themselves in problem situations, you know?
Yep. Is Fekir injured?
I believe right now he might be, yes.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, he limped off that last game.
But I would be really pissed off if that fucking Bernard Traore, whatever the fuck he is, played and I didn't. And that was Memphis Depay. Because he's the guy that
comes on as a sub and scores.
And how many times did he do that last season? We talked about that a bunch, right? So at some point you got to give him the... Or maybe he plays good when he's angry, so fuck him.
Yep. Montpellier with a 3-0 victory over Toulouse. And I feel like it's worth mentioning because Montpellier sit third in the table. They made a legit run for the title a number of years ago. Small team playing solid football.
Yeah, they've been doing their thing.
We're up. And in his third game in charge, Thierry Henry gets a point.
He's got a loss and 2 draws.
Yeah.
He got a Champions League draw too. So let's see how it goes. They're injury ravaged team, by the way. So, and again, like we talked about, they just sell everybody. So we'll see how it goes.
They tied Mustard. This one 2-2.
Yeah.
Mentioned last game, Lille hosting Caen, 1-0 Lille, which sets up. We'll mention a little bit later. The duel with the first place team next week. Word up. And now we're going to move on to our last midfield section, which we were going to do a Europa League review, and they were, If you care that much, look at the ESPN and look at the scores, man. Like, until this gets to the knockout stage, you won't get much play here.
Yeah, we're waiting until more Premier Leagues join it in January.
We figure. Yes, I can't wait for Tottenham to join.
Manchester United
London,
too, if they don't slip up.
London Day.
If Valencia beats them.
Yeah. Ooh, yes, that would be gold, man. But we chose this section to be gossipy and do our tabloid thing and talk about Mauricio Pochettino coming out and actually vocally expressing frustration with the entire.
Yes,
he's on some Jimmy Butler shit.
Yeah. Except I don't know who's gonna be his nemesis like Jimmy Butler, but he's saying it's the best start we've ever had in the Premier League. But at the same time, I feel the worst I've felt at my time at Tottenham. And he finally spoke out in regards to not being happy at the lack of reinforcements in the summer. And he's like, we've been challenging for the last 3 years, but we've been short and like not as good at every position over that time. And he's correct, but more importantly, what the fuck does this mean? There are two of the biggest jobs in the world right now that might be coming open soon. And him not being happy there, that opens a lot of doors, because he might be a coach that's on the cusp of taking it to the next level. His defensive philosophies are really nice. And like especially I'd say for the Manchester United job, I'd really give him a serious look, because that's one of the things that they need, is somebody that could tighten that team up a little bit and doesn't give a fuck about the big names, and he can put them in their place a little bit.
Yeah, and I think you have to, sympathize with the frustration. And I think this is a lot of what I, just kind of toy with Tottenham fans and make fun of, is the lack of ambition. And for me, it's like I think about, I hate to go to another sport, but baseball. I think about when they sat down Strasbourg that year, the Nats, and I'm like, dude, you don't get that many opportunities to be a World Series contender. And for this to be that little era that you talk about, where they're a perennial 10th mid-table team, and now they are, for at least the past 4 or 5 years, they've been perennial top 4, a legit contender maybe in 2 of those seasons. And you can sense that, some money well spent in a few positions could at least make them a legit. I mean, the gap is getting bigger between, a Liverpool and a City and Tottenham. And you can sense that frustration.
I get that, but also at the same time, had he spent a little more time and a little more respect on cup games and actually won thing,
something?
No, because that kind of stuff does raise profile of club also. Like, he was part of it. When the own players try to ask for a raise, he benches them. Like I can't sympathize with him on the financial aspect of this game because of how he treated Kyle Walker, of how he treated Danny Rose when they were just underpaid and wanted more money. And so, you're part of the problem. Now you're mad because you didn't get him, but like he's
been a company guy.
Yeah,
up to this point.
and actually actively talking shit, giving interviews about how unprofessional these guys are just for looking for more profitable opportunities, really.
Levy should bench him.
Basically, so I'm like, if you don't like it, now you don't like it, now that you don't feel like you can win, but like, you gave up those guys for money, like, I don't know.
So, I wonder, especially like this coming on the heels of the Madrid debacle, and then you look at a team like Harry Kane, constantly rumored, like, could there be a dual swoop by Real Madrid?
I think Harry Kane is going to be a career Tottenham player. And I think that Antonio Conte is probably going to be the next Real Madrid coach. He just signed his release with Chelsea this past week. I think Friday or Thursday.
And Thibaut Courtois jumps for joy.
Give a fuck. That would be like the best thing for Chelsea fans. They'd love it if he went there. But
he'll be doing better than the guy currently there, in my opinion. But
he will be listened to more than the guy that's currently there, and he has the balls to just deal with whoever he doesn't want. Like if we know anything about Antonio Conte, he's ready for a fucking fight. Yeah. You know, like this guy has he looked like a bitch.
Oh man, where would you like to see Pochettino?
Manchester United.
Okay.
I don't know if it's where I would like to see him, as where do I think is the best fit for Pochettino, and I think the best option right now for Manchester United.
Boy, you think Levy's gonna make fucking Real Madrid pay? He's gonna make United pay.
If Manchester United has bullied Tottenham into selling them players plenty of times over their history. Like when they won something, if you know one thing about Manchester United is that they will pay. You know? So we'll see how it goes. But I think that Ed Woodward is a fucking moron, and he'll probably hire some fucking big name idiot.
All right, move along. Word up. We're about to go into this D4G. Oh, yeah. No, not yet. Profile time. We're going to look at Serie A club Fiorentina, who I have a special relationship with because the best meal I ever had was in Florence. I love the Italians for their food, not their racism.
In the interest of honesty, we have to mention that he has Italian heritage.
Complete disclosure. What? Corciola, man. Don't that shit sound Spanish?
But AFC Fiorentina is one of the more successful secondary teams in Italy, and in the 90s especially was kind of their golden era, when even though they didn't win anything, they had two of the best players in their history, one of which being Mr. Gabriel Batistuta, one of the greatest goal scorers to ever come out of Argentina. And in midfield at that time, they had Rui Costa. Now, both these players went on, Rui Costa to AC Milan and Batistuta to Inter at the end of their careers and won championships, but they're absolute legends at Fiorentina. Fiorentina even built a statue of Gabriel Batistuta in their stadium. Now, this team was doing their thing, whatever, but in the early 2000s, namely 2000 to 2003, they go bankrupt. The owner had to raise some money. They were 50 million in debt and couldn't pay wages, etc. So they get relegated and actually have to fold as a football entity. And
the fuck?
Yes, rename themselves, because under the old team, they had to even change the logo and everything. But like now that is all forgotten, they just moved it back to being called Fiorentina, but their official name is not the same as what it used to be due to bankruptcy protection. and they got relegated all the way down past to Serie B, but they got after like 1 year of they got sold, whatever, and once they showed that they had enough money, they got to skip like the lower divisions and just go right back to Serie B and qualify from there to go back into the Serie A. Namely, the reason being because Italy is fucking nuts and there's no rules to govern anything. But ever since they come back, they had Vincenzo Montella as a coach. It was Cesare Prandelli had them playing some good football, and between 2005 2010, then they've had Vincenzo Montella, and currently they're balling out. Most known for their astoundingly sexy purple fucking
Love them.
jerseys that I'm yet to meet somebody that doesn't like them.
Founded by a
Lorenzo Di Medici. No, I'm just joking.
a guy who was related to Medici to the
Yes,
Medici
I know. That's a
Yeah, a member of a local noble and a national fascist party member.
yes. And currently, they have in their ranks one Giovanni Simeone.
Gangster.
Yes, Diego's son is playing out there, and they play. They've always been a team that plays good passing football, and they're just fun to watch.
2 titles in their history, one in the 50s, one in the 60s.
Yep.
Actually, the first Italian team to play in a European Cup final. Isn't that amazing? They lost to Real Madrid.
And the first Italian team to have played in all 3 major European finals, back when the Cup Winners' Cup was there, the UEFA Cup, and the Champions League final. And the funny thing is, in addition to Diego Simeone's son, Giovanni Simeone, another 90s legend from the Italian league, Enrico Chiesa's son, Federico Chiesa, is the vice captain of this team. So I guess it's a legacy team.
Legacy team. It's worth mentioning in this week of Leicester City news, Claudio Ranieri was also the coach here in the 90s and brought them up from Serie B in their in one of the few seasons where they were not actually in Serie A. Interesting. What's the outlook for this team this year?
Middle level, like I would say somewhere between 7 to 10.
Damn, they were
Probably around 8th.
Oh, and they were part of the match fixing scandal in 2006, huh?
Yeah.
Ugh, ouch. It's tough out
Then
there.
last year they lost David Astori, their captain, who died in his sleep.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Respect. Word 'em up. That is our club profile for the week. Awards. Dude of the week goes to
Dude of the week goes to Nacho.
Nacho.
Award.
Nacho
dude.
left back. Nacho award.
Yes. Luis Suarez. He slew Real Madrid in front of the world without his main guy. It was like watching when Scottie Pippen had an MVP season after the MVP type season after Jordan took a break.
He got no flag for the shirt underneath his jersey with his kids on it. I'm sure had it said "I bite who I want," it might have garnered a yellow card.
Oh yeah, as long as you don't take the shirt off and there's something underneath, you can do the sign. But yeah, if he had said like "fuck you" or something.
Oh man, I always think about Manchester City legend Mario Balotelli.
Yes, unemployed legend.
Is he? No,
Yeah,
he's still
he's
for
between
Nice.
contracts. No, he got his release from Nice. So
Like what? A couple weeks ago? Because he's been playing.
okay.
He's been playing. Goal of the week goes to.
Goal of the week, I would say, goes to. The Valladolid goal was actually a contender, but I want to give it to Granit Xhaka for his free kick against Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
Spectacular.
it was beast. The angle from it was sick.
Yeah, the Luis Suarez header is also a finalist.
Yes, that was nice as well. Agreed. Yeah, he played as recently as this weekend. Balotelli.
He got a job.
He's worth $30 million, they say.
Huh?
He's rated as a $30 million player still, I guess. Anyway, word him up. Upcoming league games. As we mentioned, Tottenham City here kick off in an hour and a half. But next week, as mentioned earlier, Arsenal hosting Liverpool.
Yes. Which
Go Arsenal.
Mr. Corsiola believes that Liverpool just going to sweep them aside and back the points. So we'll see how that goes.
Yay. Serie A. Speaking of Fiorentina, they host Roma. Is this a rivalry game at all? Like distance wise? Like
Nah, Fiorentina's rivals are actually closer to Juventus. They hate them because they reached the final of the Coppa Italia in 1989-90 season, only for Juventus to buy Roberto Baggio the day of the Coppa final from them, and thereby inciting their fans to go in crazy. And then that summer, Roberto Baggio gets picked for the Italian team, starts the tournament as a bench player, and finishes it as one of the contenders for player of the tournament and Juventus' newest signing.
the old lady has a black hand, sir.
So, yeah, they don't care about Roma.
Oh man, La Liga. Real Madrid continue the quest to fucking, I don't know, get back in contention here. Play Real Valladolid.
Yes, Antonio Conte, according to noted fictional writer Guillaume Balaque, who is actually a Spanish football reporter, has taken a flight from Egypt to Madrid.
What the fuck is he doing in Egypt?
That was my question, and also Guillaume Balaque, why are you bullshitting?
Why are you bullshit? Bundesliga. Oh, I forgot. Sociedad hosting Sevilla as well. It's always a fun home game for Sociedad.
Yes. The least, like the San Diego of La Liga, zero home field advantage because it's such a pleasant place.
Bundesliga, Hertha Berlin hosting RB. This is a European battle.
RB, after dropping the points against Schalke, need to turn it around, and Hertha Berlin look good, so we'll see how it goes. The direct approach of RB, we'll see how that shit goes. Yusuf Poulsen, big up yourself.
Ligue 1 was Montpellier hosting Marseille.
I think that Marseille going to turn it around and beat them, but Valerie Germain starting on the bench this week did not make sense to me, so we'll see what the fuck the coach is thinking. He just signed an extension.
And Ligue 1 finally, first place versus second place, PSG hosting Lille.
His Lille ain't going to be second place for long.
No chance here?
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. Word up.
If it was Lille hosting, I would have given him a chance, but a week rest and all that shit, they fuck him up.
Yeah, that also makes me remember that this is Cup week. So we start EFL fucking Cups and DFK and Coppa Italia, and there was no matches worth mentioning, but if you're like a junkie, you can tune in on Wednesday for all these games. And
yeah, they're going to play a bunch of guys over here. See ya.
Yeah, if you're a junkie, on it. And that match is in the books. Diving for Glory, Season 2, Episode 11. We got it. As always, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate anyone who takes the time to check us out. Don't forget, Diving for Glory posts every Monday and on every Thursday during the Champions League weeks on iTunes, YouTube, and divingforglory.com. Hit subscribe. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Diving for Glory. Rate us on iTunes. Till next week, Corsiola, Solomon.
We won El Clasico.
Holla.
Diving. This way
nothing more to say.
Diving in glory.